Okay, imagine this. A writer whose words you hear everywhere. Weddings, funerals, big speeches, just echoing through life's major moments.
Right, offering comfort, insight.
Exactly. But here's the thing. That same writer, hugely popular, right? Their full story, but it's this whole other creative life they had, is almost completely unknown to most people who love their work.
That's a great hook.
So today we're doing a deep dive into the really fascinating life and legacy of Khalil Gibran, a giant, really, who managed to bridge East and West in such a unique way.
He truly did.
We'll be focusing on his iconic book, The Prophet, of course, but also his profound spiritual ideas and his visual art, which was surprisingly extensive, but like I said, often overlooked.
Yeah, the art angle is often missed.
For this deep dive, we've gathered quite a bit: biographical accounts, literary analyses looking at his unique style, studies on his spiritual impact, and discussions about his art. Think academic papers, literary foundation info, that sort of thing.
A good mix of sources.
Our mission, really, is to unpack the layers of Gibran's genius. You know, what made him a literary revolutionary in the Arab world? How did he become a best-selling American poet, even when critics were kind of dismissive? And who was he as an artist?
It's a rich story. He really navigated and I think unified so many diverse influences. That journey shaped everything.
Okay, let's unpack this. He was born back in 1883 in Bushari, this small village high up in the mountains of Lebanon.
The Kadisha Valley, yeah. They called it the Sacred Valley.
Wow. And you can see how that majestic natural beauty just seeped into his spirituality.
Oh, absolutely. And his family background is key, too. Maronite Christian, that's a specific Eastern Catholic church with really deep roots in Lebanon.
His grandfather was a priest, I read, and his mother taught him Bible stories.
Exactly. Stories that resonated across different faiths. You can hear those echoes later.
But what's striking, you mentioned influences, is the contrast. This peaceful spiritual upbringing happening under Ottoman occupation.
Right. A time of real political tension, interreligious strife. And Gibran didn't shy away from it. His early writing tackled sectarian conflict, hypocrisy, corruption.
So that questioning of divisions started early.
Definitely. Living through those divisions, I think, prepared him to become this voice for unity later on. He wasn't just theorizing, he'd experienced it.
That makes sense. Then comes this huge shift. 1895, he's about 12. His mother takes him and his siblings to Boston.
Yeah, his father stayed behind, some legal issues there, but this move to Boston was massive.
His first formal schooling happens in the U.S. He picks up English fast, though apparently his written English always kept a slightly unique flavor.
It did. And Boston is where his art journey really starts taking off in the West. He connects with Fred Holland-Day.
Ah, the avant-garde photographer and artist.
Exactly. Day was this sort of eccentric figure, led a group called the Visionists, artists focused on subjective experience, spiritual themes. You can see the connection, right?
Totally. Day became a friend, a patron.
Introduced him to romantic literature, art, even photographed Gibran in Arab dress. That Western exposure was foundational.
But then he goes back. His mother sends him to Beirut for more education.
Right, Al-Hikma, a Maronite high school. So he's diving deep into Arabic and French literature there, even starts a poetry magazine. He's absorbing both worlds.
So he's got this Western immersion, then a regrounding in his Eastern roots. But when he gets back to Boston, tragedy strikes.
Yeah, it's brutal. Between 1902 and 1903, just a devastating period. He loses his sister Sultana, his brother Boutros, and his mother Camila.
All to TB or cancer. Just awful.
It must have profoundly shaped his thinking on pain, loss, transcendence, all those themes in his later work.
You have to wonder how he processed that. Yet somehow he forms these really important relationships around this time.
He does. There was Josephine Prescott Peabody, a poet. She actually nicknamed him the Prophet. Their connection was intense, though platonic, and eventually cooled a bit.
But the big one was Mary Haskell.
Oh, Mary Haskell. Absolutely crucial. His most significant patron, by far. She was his headmistress of a girls' school, a businesswoman, quite practical, actually.
Quite different from Gibran, maybe.
In some ways, yes, but she recognized his genius immediately. She supported him intellectually, financially, emotionally. She kept detailed journals of their conversations, edited his English writing.
Correcting spelling and punctuation, even.
Yes, their letters are a huge part of his legacy now. They even considered marriage, but it seems their relationship always remained platonic.
It's just, here's where it gets really interesting for me. This blend of his journey east-west, immense personal loss, these deep connections, it all seems to feed into his global appeal.
What's fascinating here is exactly that. How his life, lived between these worlds, enduring what he endured, uniquely positioned him to become this voice for unity, for bridging cultures. It wasn't theoretical for him.
And that fusion really sets the stage for The Prophet.
Absolutely.
The Prophet, 1923. I mean, what can you say? It's a phenomenon.
Truly, never out of print. Translated into, what, over 50 languages?
More than 50, yeah. Millions and millions sold. It makes him the best-selling American poet of the 20th century. Think about that.
It's staggering, and you hear lines from it everywhere. Weddings, funerals, speeches, song lyrics.
It's woven into the fabric of modern life, almost.
Yeah.
But the critics, they weren't so keen initially, were they?
Not at all. They largely dismissed it. Called it sentimental, artificial, mawkishly mystical was one phrase.
Mawkishly mystical. Ouch.
Yeah, they were genuinely baffled by how popular it was with the public. Because, let's face it, it doesn't really fit the mold of modern American poetry of that era.
It feels closer to something older, maybe Eastern.
Exactly. Think Eastern didactic classics, works meant to teach spiritual or moral lessons like the Book of Job or Rumi's poetry. It's more in that vein.
It definitely has its own distinct style. Let's talk about that. The language. He uses so much figurative language, especially personification.
He does. It gives abstract concepts a life of their own. That line from On Pain.
Even as the stone of the fruit must break, that its heart may stand in the sun, so must you know pain.
Right. It reframes pain not just as suffering, but as a necessary breaking open for growth. It always seems to point towards a potential bright side.
And the structure is unusual too. Poems written in paragraphs, not lines.
Yeah, it creates this flowing, almost narrative feel, and how he weaves the chapter titles right into the sentences.
Then said Almitra, speak to us of love.
Exactly. It doesn't interrupt. It sort of draws you deeper into the conversation, keeps the thinking process going.
And his attitude, overall, it's relentlessly positive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even when talking about really hard stuff.
Consistently optimistic, yes. But not in a simplistic way, I don't think. He acknowledges the hardship. On Love, he says love will ground you, but also crucify you. Growth, but also pruning.
So it's about seeing both sides, the joy and the pain together.
Precisely. Like in On Pain, where he says your pain can seem as wondrous as your joy. He wants to shift your perspective, suggest that growth comes through adversity, that after the gloomy days, sunny days are ahead.
This raises an important question then. Given that critical reaction and this very distinct, optimistic, almost didactic style, how did Gibran manage to connect with so many ordinary readers? What was the secret sauce that defied those Western literary norms?
Well, I think part of it is the sheer breadth of what he covers. These idealistic, spiritual, and psychological anecdotes, as one source puts it. They touch on almost every core aspect of human life.
Love, marriage, kids, giving, work, friendship, joy, sorrow, death. It's all in there.
It is, and love is really central. Its power to heal, transform, it's linked to happiness. And that idea you mentioned, joy and sorrow being inseparable, joy is sorrow unmasked. These are deep universal truths.
Presented very simply, very accessibly.
And through this figure, Al-Mustafa, the prophet, who acts as Gibran's mouthpiece, he synthesizes all these different beliefs and ideas into one coherent voice. It feels personal, yet universal.
So what does this all mean for us reading it today? How does Gibran's spiritual view maybe invite us to look at our own beliefs, our own connections differently?
That's a great question. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it starts with how he saw spirituality itself.
He made a clear distinction between spirituality and organized religion.
He did. Religion for him was the institution, the structure, the doctrines. Spirituality was broader, the heart and soul, something lived daily, focused on universal human values that go beyond any one specific practice.
And he drew from so many streams. Born Maronite Christian, yes, but clearly influenced by Sufism.
The mystical side of Islam, yeah. Focused on divine love, direct experience.
And you can see hints of Buddhism, Hinduism too. It all fed into this universal perspective.
Someone called him not a traditional Christian, but a true Christian. I think that captures it. He was seen as a pioneer of what later became the New Age focus on subjective spirituality.
His whole life seems like a call for unity, for going beyond boundaries.
Absolutely. Bridging creeds, cultures, advocating for gender equality, embracing different faiths. His famous quote, "The universe is my country and the human family is my tribe."
Powerful. And you and I are all children of one religion, for the varied paths of religion are but the fingers of the loving hand of the Supreme Being.
He constantly pushed against walls. Your neighbor is your other self dwelling behind a wall, in understanding all walls shall fall down. Beautiful.
He even applied it to nations, didn't he? That quote about sitting on a cloud.
Yeah, you would not see the boundary line between one country and another. It is a pity you cannot sit upon a cloud. It highlights the artificiality of those divisions.
And his view of Jesus is fascinating too. He felt everything led not just to the prophet, but also his longest English book, Jesus, the Son of Man.
Right, published in 1928. He wanted to separate the historical Jesus from, as he put it, Jesus the Christian.
That quote where they meet in a garden.
Yes. Once every 100 years, Jesus of Nazareth meets Jesus the Christian, and they talk long, and each time Jesus of Nazareth goes away saying, "My friend, I fear we shall never agree."
Wow. So he saw Jesus not just through a Christian lens, but as
a universal sage for all humanity, the supreme figure of all ages, even the master poet who makes poets of us all.
It's striking how relevant that inclusive, humanistic spiritual lens feels today, in a world still so torn by division.
It really is. His message continues to resonate because those divisions sadly persist.
Okay, so we've talked writing, spirituality, but the thing that really blew me away researching this was realizing he saw himself primarily as a painter.
It's amazing, isn't it? He produced over 700 paintings, watercolors, drawings, a huge body of work.
700. Yet, as you said, largely overlooked in the West. Why is that?
Mostly because after he died, the bulk of his artwork was shipped back to Lebanon, so it just wasn't as visible to Western audiences who knew him mainly for the prophet.
So people knew the words, but not the images. Who were his artistic influences?
A real mix. Leonardo da Vinci was one. His early patron, Fred Hollanday, helped with academic drawing and portraits. But a huge one was William Blake.
Blake, the English poet and artist.
Yes, Gibran called Blake the God-man. You can see that influence. Also French symbolists like Eugène Courier.
So what did his style look like? A blend of these.
Kind of. He combined classical forms you see that influence from Da Vinci with mysticism and symbolism. It gives his work this unusual mystical quality.
Was he part of the modern art movements happening then, like Cubism or Surrealism?
Not really. He knew about them, but he stuck to a more classical symbolist style. He felt it was more timelessly authentic and better suited to capturing the emotional, spiritual feel he was after.
Okay, let's unpack this. There's a whole visual universe here. What kind of themes show up in his art?
The human body is central, often used allegorically, symbolically. Figures representing larger concepts.
Like that illustration, the three are one, from his book, The Madman.
Exactly. Three figures intertwined. People interpret it in different ways. Life, rebellion, truth, maybe. Or love, rebellion, liberty. The figures are often androgynous, sort of floating in these non-spaces. It connects to his philosophical ideas about humanity and the divine.
Beyond allegories, did he paint other subjects?
Oh, yes. He did some mythological paintings, like Autumn or Rose Sleeves, which depicts Sappho, and he painted many, many portraits.
Portraits of
Friends, colleagues, family. He was apparently very good at capturing the sitter's personality, their soul. He painted Yeats, Carl Jung, Rodin, Edison.
Wow, famous name. And Mary Haskell, too, I assume.
Definitely, his lifelong patron. And his depictions of women often have this deeper resonance. There's a reference there.
People connected to his deep attachment to his mother, who died young.
Right, seeing her as part of a larger universal mother or Mother Earth idea linked to his belief in reincarnation. His portraits of his sister Mariana are also very tender. It taps into that idea of the divine feminine.
And he illustrated his own books, including The Prophet.
He did, the first edition. What's fascinating here is how the art gives visual form to the exact same universal ideas and spiritual truths he explores in his writing. They're deeply interconnected.
You see mountains in his landscapes a lot, right? Connecting back to Lebanon.
Yes. That connection to his homeland is always there visually. It allowed him to sort of return there in his mind and art. It also helps make the work feel timeless, transcending specific places or times.
It's just incredible. Khalil Gibran really occupies this unique space, doesn't he? Literary revolutionary in Arabic, global phenomenon with the prophet, even with critics scratching their heads in the West.
A profound spiritual guide.
And as we've really dug into, this incredibly accomplished artist whose visual work deserves so much more attention.
His enduring appeal, I think, comes down to those universal messages: unity, love, shared humanity, delivered in that very personal, accessible style. It just keeps connecting with people.
Absolutely. His life story itself is compelling, balancing that hardship, the unwavering artistic drive, that's profound universal message. It really challenges us, I think.
It does. It challenges us to look for that interconnectedness, that deeper meaning, not just in art or books, but in our own lives. He saw joy and pain as inseparable, remember, struggles as essential for growth.
Like the stone of the fruit breaking.
Exactly. So the thought maybe to leave you with is this. How might viewing your own difficulties through Gibran's lens, seeing them not just as obstacles, but maybe as necessary steps toward your own greater self, as he might put it, how might that change things? How might that transform your daily experience?